Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Consider this the ultimate guide to hi-hats in FL Studio. If you're a beginner, you'll learn how to make pro-sounding hi-hats. We're going to go over hi-hat rolls, hi-hat glitches, hi-hat pitch rolls, acoustic hi-hats, boom-bap hi-hats, how to make them feel more realistic. So let's hop into FL Studio. First thing you need to understand is the difference between an acoustic hi-hat and a synthetic hi-hat. Because in trap, we use what are called synthetic hi-hats. So they sound like this. They're based on what's called noise. They're very bright and just, okay, very sharp. Whereas acoustic hi-hats have a little more texture to them, a little more reverb, a little more room vibe to it. Okay, so it's a different sound. Trying to do the same techniques on an acoustic won't give you the same results. I just want to say that up front. Okay, so firstly, we're at 140 BPM. We're going to turn the metronome on. And the first thing I like to do is simply right click and fill each 2 steps. So it's going to give us the ta 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 sound. Very just straightforward. Now, if you want to go Metro Boomin style, for example, you could just what I like to do is just add a hi-hat way over here, right click, fill each 2 steps so that it gives us enough room to do stuff. And then here I'm going to add a little t-t-t. Okay, so that's like Metro style. I wouldn't consider that a roll, more so like a stutter than a hi-hat roll. Now in FL Studio, the newer versions, they've updated the channel rack. I think it's version 24. Click in the top right here where it says Graph Editor. Go to the Repeat tab. Click on your element. In this case, in the channel rack, we are on the hi-hats. Click the Graph Editor. Go to the Repeat tab. And now we can add hi-hat rolls on any individual note. And I'll show you the difference here. Now, the only thing is there's a difference, okay, in the old way we used to do rolls. So these rolls are very short, okay, so it's per note. Now, let's say you want to do a hi-hat roll, but you want it longer than just this amount of time. What you could do is either stack them up and then add multiple rolls back to back. That's one way to do it. But if you were to right click and go into piano roll, here's the frustration most people have. Okay, we're going to grab the ellipses here. Left click, pull this up. So most people, when they are, let me show you guys, if we take a step back real quick, I'm going to Control Z this real quick. So most people, what they do is they'll create a note repeat, and I'll show you what that looks like inside of the piano roll. So let's add a note repeat on the first note. So right here, let's grab the ellipses at the bottom, pull this up. Let's go to Control, Note Repeat. And then if we zoom in, you can't see it, but if I hit Control L, it will elongate the note and it chops the note up. So the reason I'm showing you this, guys, is to understand that certain techniques you have to do the old way of hi-hat rolls, okay? So if you go to Control, Note Velocity, you can't fade this like you would a DJ Mustard hi-hat or Roddy Ricch, okay? So it's just one velocity. Now, if you don't care about the velocity, that's fine. But let's say you want to do like a Roddy Ricch type thing, where it's like we add a hi-hat. You guys can hit Alt, left click to restore the velocity. The old way of doing the hi-hats, I learned this from Chop Squad DJ. We're going to hit Alt U. Okay, and it's going to pull up the time multiplier. This is the chopper. So now we have the same amount of chops, but this time we can control the velocity. Okay, I forget how many I had. Let's just put 4. So now per note, I can actually control the velocity, whereas before on the note repeat, you can't control the velocity per note. That's the only difference, or the main difference, I should say. So let's see right here. Let's say we were, I can't speak. Let's say we want a hi-hat roll right here. Highlight this, Control, hit Control L, hit Alt plus U. And now we have these individual chop notes. Again, this is important because we're about to do a different step here. Grab the ellipses, left click, pull this up. Let's go to where it says Control, switch this to where it says Note, Fine Pitch. And then we can hit Control, left click to highlight these notes so we don't mess with the other notes. In the top left panel, it tells you the semitone value over here. So we can or the cent value, I should say. We can right click and drag this down. Basically, an octave is 1200 cents. So we're going down a whole octave here. So this is called a pitch dive. Now, usually when people do pitch dives, they also do what's called a resonance boost. So let's go to the Control tab. Let's go to resonance and let's do the opposite direction. Now, also too, you can do what's called a filter cutoff. This is a little more advanced. I'm just showing you guys. So basically when the filter is muffling the sound, the resonance goes up and it adds an EQ boost and it makes it feel more lasery, basically. So that's how you get that type of sound here. Okay, now this is for trap drums. Now, if we tried to copy and paste this into our acoustic drum, it wouldn't sound right. So let's hit Control X, Control V. This is what a real hi-hat would sound like. That doesn't sound realistic at all. Okay, so just understand you can copy the techniques over to acoustic, but it won't feel right most of the time. Let me show you guys a more advanced technique. You can hit Control down. This is like super advanced. I'm doing this so that you can hear the pitch. Okay, so the hi-hat is now a longer sample. And you can also add, you could double click to add a pitch bend. Now this is only for stuff that's lower pitched. Now again, would you do this normally? No. But you might do something like this. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you that is because hi-hats for trap producers, we forget that a lot of our records had bongos, hand drums, you know, percussive instruments. And the reason that's important is because everything wasn't, you know, it was like, or, you know, there's a lot of movement more than just the hi-hats. So what you could do to add some of that movement is to think of your hi-hat as multiple instruments. What we'll do is add just a lower pitch sound here. Okay, so it's like a sub rhythm. Okay, so just an option, not mandatory. You can also add rolls to these notes. And let's say you want these notes to not interfere. You could hit Control, left click and highlight, hit Shift, left click and set the velocity to be linear or at a lower velocity. Again, to reset, hit Alt, left click. So that's as far as trap hi-hats usually go. Okay, now for the acoustic hi-hat, it's a little bit different because we have to master timing. So let's add a kick and a snare. Let's go down to like 90 something BPM here. So most people just right click, fill each 2 steps, which is fine. But this is, you know, the beginner sound to a drum. Goes boom, bap, boom, boom, bap. I like to rap around boom, bap beats. All right, it's super corny and super cheesy. Now let's right click and clone these. Now let's go to pattern 2 and let's do something dope with the hi-hat here. Let's right click, fill each 2 steps, but this time let's go to the wrench tool and use what's called time shift. So we can just be experimental with this. There's no right answer for this. It depends on the groove. And let's add our kick and our snare here. So now we have more of like a Dilla swing or like a West Coast swing because those hi-hats are so delayed. You can also delay your kick as well. So this is what separates the pros from the amateurs. So just to let you guys hear that back to back, the corny boom bap is on the left, the pro boom bap is on the right. Okay, so just showing you how that one small time difference makes a huge difference. Okay, here's the boom bap beat. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Now here's the Dilla beat. Light years difference. Okay, so that's what you guys want to understand is the timing of that hi-hat. If you wanted to make it more realistic, taking it even further, you can go to your graph editor in the top right, go to the velocity tab and just, you know, real drummer's not going to play ta 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 every single time. It's going to be like like loud, quiet most of the time. Okay, so we're going to just vary these sample volumes, velocities. I was wondering why it sounded off. That was the Okay, so now it has more of a realistic, humanized feel without even nudging individual notes and doing all this stuff. So now let's talk about tresillo. Tresillo creates pretty much the foundation of every modern genre. Afrobeat, reggaeton, drill, hip hop, West Coast. Okay, so it's tum, 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 tresillo, tresillo, like that. It's very simple. For drill, for example, let's go up to 144 BPM here. And let's add, now for drill, they use something called a counter snare. This isn't the exact snare I would use, but because I'm using it, we're just gonna use here. Go to the high pass filter. And let's just create the tresillo. Sillo man. Okay, let's go here. So it's ta, 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 like that. Okay, that's Jersey Club. Boom, you know, boom, boom, Tracy-o, boom, boom, Tracy-o, boom, boom. That's Jersey Club. It's drill, ta, 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 ta. It's Afrobeat. You know, on Afrobeat, they just swap out the sound. So it might go like, let's do kick, kick. Let's do this. And then now we're at a super high BPM. So let's go to 108. That gives you Afrobeat. Okay, so you just swap out the sound in that case, but it's all about Trecio. Now, West Coast music, 93 BPM, we have Trecio. So let's add this kick. Okay, and then I'll just turn on my keys so you guys can hear. Let me pull up a sampler real quick. This is just so I don't play multiple notes. Okay, so it might go. That's the West Coast bounce. Okay, so it's all about Trecio. Trecio is that pattern that you didn't even know you needed to know. Even in EDM, you know, it's dun, dun, it goes like this, for example. I turned my keyboard off, forgot. So Trecio is, you can continue Trecio. So Trecio, Cio, 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 Trecio. And that's the EDM pattern. So it's all based on Trecio for the most part. And again, that applies to hi-hats because, you know, it depends on the style you guys are going for. But Trecio is that pattern that you didn't even know you needed to know. Let's make this a Trecio pattern, for example. Now we have a more like J Dilla type dance beat type beat. I just wanted to know that you really can't count the ball. I really want. Is that some chords in here? Now we're getting in it. I messed up. Dang, I was on a roll and then at the last chord, let's do it. 1, 2. Let's try it again. I couldn't get my fingers in the right position in time. So that's the Trecio bounce. Now, the cool thing about Trecio is it doesn't have to be on the downbeat. You can actually move it around. So let's just create Trecio. Let's right click, go to piano roll. It's a little bit easier to move it in the piano roll. Let's zoom in. And let me show you guys, for example, we don't need to play 3 in a row all the time. So if I highlight these notes with control, I can hit shift and move these around. So it's all Trecio. So this will be continuous Trecio with Trecio, Cio, Trecio, Cio. That's the continuous. So again, you can move these around just hitting shift, left. So this will give you a unique approach to boom bap that isn't like your typical pattern. Okay, so that will really take you out of your box. I think we've covered pretty much everything there is to know about a hi-hat as far as how I would use it. That's it. So subscribe if you're new. Go to busyworksbeats.com/producerpath. If you guys want to learn how to make beats and become a music producer, go to busyworksbeats.com/producerpath. I'll leave a link below. Peace out, guys.